Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back, and we will now proceed with our panel discussion session in the hot seat. The threats and opportunities are often two sides of the same coin. Earlier, we talked about the VUCA world, and in this session, we will touch further on how we could effectively respond to both threats and opportunities. Our moderator for this panel discussion is Professor Dr. Durisha Idrus. She is a professor of industrial relations and public policy. She obtained her PhD from the University of Stirling, United Kingdom. She now holds the post of Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Student Affairs of Universiti Teknologi Malaysia. She was the Allied Fellow of the Institute of Human Resource Ministry, and the External Editor for Malaysian Labour Review. She was also the Secretary for the Cluster on Governance, Law and Public Management of Majlis Profesor Negara. And she is also a recipient of the Academic Leadership Award at the Golden Globe Tigers Award 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our moderator, Professor Dr. Durisha Idrus.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Diana. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning, Tan Sri, para professor, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we are here now with a very, I think, most appropriate topic after listening to our Tan Sri this morning, and also after listening to Professor Mehmet just now. I think we are all inspired. We are warming up. We have warmed up. So here we are. I'm just here to moderate, and there are these four distinguished persons up in front of you, and they're going to talk about this, all right? The topic is in the hot seat. Truly, dear professors and dear ladies and gentlemen up front, you are the one in the hot seat, okay? I'm just playing the easy one. I'm just the moderator. Do not ask any questions to me, all right? Do not address, all right? I must warn you beforehand. If the discussants ask me any question, I'm going to refer back to you, okay? Fair enough, all right? Okay, we have together with me this morning up here is Dato' Dr. Muhammad Sofi Osman, the first gentleman here on my left, Chairman, Board of Directors of UTHM, all right? And next to him is Dato' Satina Said Saleh. She is the Board of Directors for Universiti Pendidikan Sultan Idris. I was told the VC is here. I'm so scared of him. There he is. I'm not going to say oopsie. I'm going to say UPSI. Okay? All right. I've been warned. Next to Dato' Satina is our academician senior professor, Dr. Khalid Yusof, the Vice Chancellor and President of UCSI. Okay, and next to him is Associate Professor Dr. Rosilini Mary Fernandez Chung, Director, Center for Academic Partnerships and Engagement, University of Nottingham, Malaysia. All right, so all of them are here. Let me just read a bit about them. We do not have that 1.5 hour. I hope all of you will be such a sport. If we go beyond 12:45, you are okay, and you say it's okay, Prof, we'll miss lunch, it's all right. You know, that's the sport that I hope you are today, okay? Because truly we are now at almost 11:30. Okay, Dato' Sofi, Dato' ni the shortest version, ya, ingat ya. Kalau panjang pun ingat, ini the shortest of the shortest version, alright. Dato' Dr. Muhammad Sofi Osman is the Managing Director and Vice President of Altera Corporation, Malaysia Sdn Bhd, appointed also as the Chairman of the Universiti Tun Hussein On UTHM Board of Directors from 1st November 2018, inshallah, up until 31st October 2021. All right. Dato' received his primary and secondary education, Penang Mari, yeah? Penang before pursuing an engineering degree at University of Strathclyde, Scotland. He has an illustrious 25-year at the Advanced Micro Devices, AMD Penang. He is also the member of the Board of Directors for MIMOS, Semiconductor Malaysia Sdn Berhad. Dato holds a patent in the field of semiconductor manufacturing process and has published papers on continuous improvement projects in back-end semiconductor manufacturing. He has vast experience in academia, industry, collaboration. Prior to his appointment at UTHM, he has served as a member and a chairman of the Universiti Malaysia Perlis Unimat Board of Directors, as well as the chairman of the Universiti Malaysia Sabah Board of Directors. I think I'm just going to read about him first. Would that be all right with everybody? Until the next one, okay? Each of you, Dato' and Doctor, will be given just 8 minutes, all right? And some of you will be using slides, all right? Also 8 minutes, all right? And then we'll look at the time. If we have another round, then we'll have that another round, or else we have to just go back to the Urustia for question and answer sessions, all right? See, my job is so easy, all right? Okay. Dato, the topic that is given to us today is surrounding this issue, all right? Malaysian higher education community faces problems of hierarchy, rigid departmental territorial structures, and slow pace of change. We have listened to Professor Mehmet just now, and we also have listened quite emotionally to what Tan Sri shared this morning. In a world of where organizations need to be agile, higher education leaders must be able to transform the organizations to effectively respond to threats and opportunities. Okay, so that's it, and they say here, and I have actually cancelled it. I said, this one don't have to be there. They say in this session, a moderator is tasked to probe, question, and challenge the views. Definitely I will, okay, if we have the time. But inshallah, I think they're going to explore into the topics, and let's see what the views of Dato' Muhammad Sofi Osman, okay, for about 8 minutes starting from now. Silakan, Dato'.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Berilah tepukan yang bergemuruh kepada Datuk kita.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. I'll be giving this view from the multinational standpoint because I'm from multinational, although that I'm with UTHM, but I hope you don't mind that I will give these views from that perspective. First, I would like to start with, I think most of us have read or come across an old book called The Good to Great. It's a red in color. The enemy of great is good. You want to become a great organization, great government, great universities, and so on. Good is the enemy. So that's the challenge that we are facing. And we have to confront the brutal truth in order to address this. First, my observations, what the challenges that we are having are the exposures of the people in the universities or to the industries. In the old days, in the 60s or the 70s, when we start the industries over here, yes, the industry depends so much on the universities. But as technology evolves, I'm sorry to say that the university doesn't depend on the universities anymore. In fact, the industries are more and more advanced in terms of the technology and so on. That's one for the fact, because if we look at the semiconductor industry, semiconductor is not on 7 nanometer, moving to 5, moving to 3, right? And there's a lot of catching up need to be done in order to catch this. So that's a challenge. But the good thing is that we need to, the ministry have started to open the CO faculty program and so on, but I don't see the enthusiasm much from the university because the door has been opened for us to go to the industry. But there's not many takers that are going. There are some, but not many takers. The door has been wide open, and these are the CEO of the industries, and they can help because they are there. Yeah. So we have to take this opportunity. So there's a lack of exposure among us, and the door has been opened. So there is a solution on how we just have to be, we don't have to be shy. right? And these people are very open to help, but we have to understand they are very, very busy. They don't have much time with us. Second, they don't depend on us because they have the corporate sector with them. They have their headquarters in US and so on, and they can rely on the headquarters for any solutions and so on, right? That makes the situation worse. That's in terms of exposure. The second that I look in terms of the fundamental to the organization. If you look into multinational, they are very, very concerned about the levels in the organization and the span of control. From the CEO to the operator level, they only control maybe like 6 to 7 levels. At the plant level, maybe at the MD to the operators level, if it's in manufacturing, it's only up to 5. Sometimes they allow up to 6 levels. And the span of control at least must be 7 and above. So if you look at our side, I think that's the challenge that we need to take a hard look. I'm not surprised is that if we look into the span of control and level in the organization, we were able to see even one-to-one reporting in our organization. But in multinational, you will not see this kind of thing. If it happens, maybe they overlook a certain thing. So they're always very, very sensitive to looking at the span of control and so on. Because almost every other year, there will be a consultant coming in to look at productivity, to engage them into productivity, how much. And the rule of thumb is that there must be at least a minimum of 8% year over year on productivity improvement. If not, you are out of competition. Even sometimes 8% over year, it's very difficult to be ahead of the competition. And the third that I would like to touch on is about the system. The IT system is not fully integrated. If you look at the HR system, the finance system, and so on, we can see that as compared to the multinational, their systems are more fully integrated as compared. Of course, they spend a lot of money into the system because they believe that the system will help to improve the productivity. So they really believe into investing in this. But we have the economy of scale. We have 20 public universities in Malaysia. So we can combine it together, right? Instead of having a separate system for each university. So if we combine together, and maybe some of the system we can even develop together. We have good IT personnel and so on. So we just have to lead them, to tell them what we need to do. So together, if we come together as one, then inshallah we can do better, right? The beauty that we have is that this is not a very big country. Malaysia is a small country. We have 20 public universities. And I would say that the people are intelligent enough, but it's just a lack of exposure only. So if we can bring them together and tell them what it takes, and then they are a little bit not that shy, then inshallah we can move forward. I think that's the challenge for now that we're having with our public university. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato. That's quite short, but I think you have you have emphasized on the need for universities to take up opportunities with the presence of industries around us, right? And also you're saying, let's collaborate together, let's work together, and let's see how far we can go from that collaboration, right? Okay, I think I'm just going to ask first Dato' Sutina or Dato' Satina or Dato' Khalid to go as second. Dato' Khalid first. Ladies first. Which one? Dato' Satina ke? Dato' Satina, ya? Okay, Dato' Satina, please. Dato' nak guna slides ke?
Kalau boleh, just to browse through.
Okay. We have it, right? Her slides, we have her slides, right? Okay, there you are. We have it there, okay. Dato' Satina, I think he has about 30 years of experience in the academia and also in policy making in Malaysia, right? She is currently the council member for the National Education Advisory Council from 2018 to 2020. In addition, she holds many other responsibilities. If I look at your real resume there, it's very long. At the moment, she is a board member for Universiti Pendidikan Sultan Idris, director for Malewa Learning Resources, and managing director for Alpha Al-Sagof Edu Resources, Sdn Bhd. She is also a member of the board of governors for St. John International School, Kuala Lumpur, the British International School, Kuala Lumpur, and the 10B group of schools. When she's not busy transforming education, Dato' Satinah contributes her ideas and views in education via conferences, seminars, roundtable discussions, and forums, both locally and abroad. Her experience as a former teacher, a former lecturer, and senior official at the Ministry of Education, alongside her involvement in the reviewing of the Malaysian education system leading up to the MEB, has contributed significantly to her present-day expertise. Dato' Satinah graduated in Sociology and Anthropology from University of Malaya and received her diploma in education and subsequently earned her Master of Science from Loughborough University, UK. Without much further ado, let's welcome Dato' Satinah Said Saleh.
Thank you, Dr. Duresa, for that elaborate introduction indeed. Thank you. Actually, today I am using the hat of UPSI, UPSI, as a member of board of directors. Which one is that? Sorry. Basically, actually, my slide is just wanting to show about UPSI. I've been a board member for the last 1 year, slightly over a year. If you talk about hot seat, I think being in UPSI, it is indeed a very hot seat. Simply because when we talk about UPSI, we are talking about the type of teachers that we produce, the types of schools, teachers that we will have, you know, now and in the future. So just, sorry. At the same time, my experience actually very much, a lot more actually in the area of K-12 education, from formulating policy, from looking at the opening of what do you call this, the floodgate when the Education Act 1996, ACTA 550 and 555 was introduced in 1996 actually. So I worked very closely with Tan Sri Wan Zahid then, who was a DG, and I was a secretary that was always being bullied by him. But I learned a great deal of things from him. He's my major mentor, cikgu, and everything. Actually, I'm not really good at this. Okay. What I want to put this across, actually, just talking about the journey of UPSI. We are going to be 100 years in 2 years' time, 3 years' time. That is a fantastic journey that started from 1922 right until now. And when we look at this journey, it used to be once under the Ministry of Education, then we went up to the Ministry of Higher Education. But most importantly, when we talk about UPSI, we are talking about teachers. We cannot help it. That is the bridge that we need to actually put together. I like the way Dato' mentioned just now, when we talk about looking at private education as well as public education in terms of higher, IPTA and IPTS. But I also would like to emphasize on the importance of having this close bridge or seamless presentation to schools and IPTA. We have professors, we have thinkers, we have so many other intelligent people in our school, in our universities, but they need to really come out a lot more to giving the best to our school. Let me just put across, I don't think I'm going to talk about all these other things that UPSI is doing. I leave that job to Professor Sata to do it next time. But I think the Ministry of Education talk about the attributes, the recognized certificate, the leadership qualities, and so on. I think most importantly, what we are trying to do in UPSI now, UPSI has always been known as producing teachers for umpteen years. And I used to be one of the critics as well, the one that used to criticize UPSI. When I had one presenter came to New Zealand, I was working there, and this presenter, a professor, could not even express himself or herself properly, couldn't even speak English properly. And I almost wanted to go under the table. Because kita malu, you know. To me, kalau kita tak boleh, if we cannot speak English properly, cakap dalam bahasa kita. It's okay. It is all right for us not to have it. But in UPSI, moving forward, we want to produce, we really would like to do this journey together with the team, with our board of directors. We have very strong team in our in UPSI board of directors who are also, we are very, very vocal. We don't apologize for our opinions. Just like me as well, I'm in MPKK, Majlis Penasihat Pendidikan. We are put there after long retirement, but yet we are still contributing. English is going to be one of the core things that we're going to introduce in UPSI. Because UPSI is not just going to produce teachers that will be teaching in our public school, but we are going to open up to training, at least giving the professional courses to private schools. I'm sitting on the board of more than 25 schools because 10B under International Partnership Group from UK, we have 20 schools. And BSKL is one of the premium schools that have got 90% of foreigners. So they are asking me, I said, how, Datuk Satina, can we have teachers? Can we train our teachers in the university where you are, on board? So this is what we're going to do. So I was telling Datuk Sata, I said, Datuk Sata, you need to move on, not business as usual, but you need to move on and leapfrog the way it should be done. That is one thing. And secondly, we are also looking at research, but our research is not going to be research to compete with other research universities. Our research will be very much on sort of how it will benefit our teachers. We look at probably action research. We probably engage with even community to look at how receptive they are. That will come to my next point, whereby that we're going to work closely with the community. I think community will be the best people around to let us know whether we are doing well or we are not doing well. The journey is very, very long. If I just look at that, this one was prepared, actually helped prepared by my team from UPSI. But this is what I would like to put. This is our timeline in UPSI, how we're going to go about it, and hopefully by 2022, when we celebrate our 100 years, we will be placed in one of those ranking. Right now, kita tak ada rank lagi. We are not ashamed about that, but I think we need to work harder. We have not worked hard now. That is the point on UPSI. But do I have a little bit of time? Okay. Since I've been in the private education, fraternity together with them, I've been actually involved from the very beginning, from 1999 when I was in the Ministry of Education. And I came out and then I went back again as a director for my final job in the Ministry of Education. I look at private education as one of the most important aspects in our education system. But we have always been, when I say we, actually I'm talking about on behalf of the private sectors, private education, they have always been actually neglected, inverted comma. They have always been looked at as if they are only money driven. They want to make money. It is not about giving the best education to the students, which I would differ. I would differ because there are pockets of them, but we cannot put them all in one basket. There are good private universities. They are really blooming. They are also in the line of coming up, not competing with Universiti Malaysia, of course, Universiti Malaysia is my alma mater as well, you see. So Universiti Malaysia is our proud and pride of Malaysia right now. But one day, UPSI also will be one. But I think what I think is important, I want to echo what Dr. Sophie was mentioning. There need to be a real conviction, commitment from the government to allow private sectors, private education to be at par. If we cannot give them money, allow them to have all the necessary innovation, MQA punya pun ada juga ada kat sini. And the way that we look at things in the past is not the same. We have to look at it, and I like what Professor Mehmet was saying just now. We are talking about values. We are talking about different type of value system because we cannot judge everyone based on what they have done before. So you look at what other big private universities have done. They are just, some of them are ahead of our public universities because our public universities tend to be a little bit more complacent, but not anymore now because we have to look for money. We have to drive ourselves. But these are the things that I feel in my heart, I always would like to say, we need to treat them fairly. But at the same time, they cannot take the government for granted as well.
Thank you, Dato'. Thank you, Dato'. I think, thank you. I think Dato has given views on the public as well as the private higher institutions from her experience, which I would say luckily or just now, this morning, Professor Mehmet spoke about privilege, right? That truly opened my eyes. Sometimes we always think about rights, okay? I had the opportunity to also be together at the IPTS, and I think, and we have IPTS champions here in this room this morning. Quite a number of them here are here with us. So I think when we speak about leadership, at both the IPTS and IPTA, because we still have the IPTA, IPTS definitions, right, that define us. In the past, we hope not. In the past, we talk about, in the past meaning a few years back, we talk about maybe in Malaysia, we should just have one institutions of higher learning of Malaysia, where we may, do away with different acts, work together closely, and then really go for the level that we want. I just truly share Dato's views, and here we are again. I just want to share again. Leaders, when we say leaders, right? They are supposedly to be these people who can anticipate change, identify opportunities, create strategic plans, motivate and direct people, and then manage risks, all right? Solve problems and make effective decisions. And then Professor Mehmet just now was deliberating on the VUCA, and then I had the opportunity to look over who create VUCA, who promote VUCA as a topic that truly now become a great concern of all of us. It says there VUCA was a concept that derive or originate from this U.S. Army military school, if I'm not mistaken, and it has become, I think they're very happy over this, it has become our center of discussions and conferences and all that. But truly, the word VUCA means a lot to all of us now, and how leaders is going to face this and manage and really, truly still bring change and for the good of the community. So, okay, let's go to, before we go to the second round, hopefully we can, let's invite our Professor Dr. Khalid Yusof, who is an academician, senior professor, third Vice Chancellor and President of UCSI University. Professor Khalid began his medical career as a student at the University of Melbourne, Australia, trained in cardiology, very important person for all of us here today, at the University of Newcastle upon Tyne, UK, previously served as Dean of Universiti Teknologi Malaysia, Faculty of Medicine, and under his stewardship, the faculty recorded tremendous growth and established itself as one of the foremost medical faculties in the nation. Prior to that, Professor Khalid played a number of key roles, including as Dean, in a career of spanning 2 decades at Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, right? And served as a consultant cardiologist at both universities, where he was instrumental in developing the heart centers at these universities. Professor Khalid also a firm advocate of research and development, and his findings are frequently published in high-impact international journals. He obtained most of his qualifications, awards, and fellowships from renowned universities and professional bodies in England, Australia, Scotland, and United States. In the year 2000, he received Datuk Paduka Setia Mahkota Kelantan from His Highness the Sultan of Kelantan for his services to medicine. He is also conferred the Doctor of Medical Sciences honoris causa by his alma mater, the University of Melbourne, Australia, in 2014, which identifies him as a person of distinguished eminence in medical science, research, and effective medical education. Without much further ado, let's invite Dato' Professor Khalid.
Thank you very much, Prof. Durisha. That leaves me 5 minutes rather than 8 minutes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And I'd like to thank Prof. Nordain, Tan Sri, and ladies and gentlemen. It's good to be here among the leaders of higher education in this country. I want to share with you some ideas, and some of these may be disturbing. But I think it is important for us to explore these ideas if we want to go ahead. In 2 days' time, we'll be all celebrating 62 years of independence. I really wonder whether we have really been independent. Because it looks to me that we are still held back by ideas. We are still held back by this colonization of our thinking. Yeah. And if you look through, many of us suffer from that, well, I'm a doctor, disease. So we have to identify what is the disease and what are the symptoms. And often, we address ourselves just to the symptoms. You don't solve the disease. You don't treat the disease. It's a pendant for the symptom. First thing, for example. And I sit corrected. Yeah, well, I'm sitting down, so I sit. Because we have so many leaders of this country, yeah, from the time of independence. How did we gain our independence? And what happened subsequent to the independence? When I look around, and I'm not a historian, I'm just a simple person who wants to contribute to the development of this country, I think we came through various phases of addressing ourselves with the big picture. We want independence. We achieve independence. After that, development, Tun Razak. Tunku Abdul Rahman, Tun Razak. After that, development, right? After that, Vision 2020. Those are big pictures, and it liberated us to identify ourselves. Where are we in the big picture? The big picture is almost like building a wall, and which part of the wall that we have contributed, which bricks. I'm afraid we've lost that big picture of late. We transform, not quite right, the terminology, to KPI. And if you're honest to yourself, this KPI thing has been very, very damaging. Because we don't quite understand what KPI is. Of course, you don't like me saying that, would you? But that's the truth. Yeah? I look after myself here, I'm okay. You look after yourself there, whatever it is, does not matter. You? As long as I'm okay, I'm all right. It is not. We're all together. We've lost that big picture. We go for KPIs. In research, I know there are universities who keep on counting papers. Sometimes they don't even know what they're counting. They don't know what's they're counting. We call that transactions. They call that papers, for example, and so on and so forth. Yeah? And sometimes they lost out the K of the KPI. It's not key. What key is that? It's just performance index. We've lost that. So let's go back and look at the big picture. If there is no national narrative of the big picture right now, because now bising, entah bising tentang apa ni, bising sekarang, tong, tak tahu hala. Develop our own big picture in your institution, in your life, In your home, you must have the big picture. We can talk about the big picture, but be aware of KPI. I never follow KPI. Never. In my program. Never. Yeah? But the institutions that I was associated with, Faculty Perubatan UKM, we got the top faculty in UKM. Without people having to come and balik buku. Once look, they know you are doing very well. That's what it is. Same thing with UITM. Yeah, we build up and a number of things, and same thing that is happening in UCSI. Because we have the big picture and inspire. I don't like, oh, leaders motivate. No. Leaders should not motivate. Motivate is inanimate. You move. You inspire people. Yeah? Because our major problem is, one of the major problems is, everything has been externalized. Situations happen not because of this. We've got to change back. Yeah? We are, every one of us is an integral part of the system. But we have shifted. It's all exterior. I receive, I do. What? You are in the university? You must be in the military, man or women. Yeah? Yes. If you just receive orders, you're in the military. Yes, one. Yeah. Shoot. You cannot question why shoot. You cannot. You'll be shot. But in the university, it's different. And you are the leaders. Again, why wait for instruction? Why? And that comes to another point. And I want to make this a very bold statement, and I can be frightened for this, because it is correct. In our universities, we lack thought leadership. What a statement. What a statement. University, thought leadership? We lack thought leadership. Yeah, we have leadership, sort of, but they're executive leadership. VC, I can talk about VC, I'm one of them, yeah. VC is executive leadership. Deans, executive leadership. We don't have thought leadership. So let's reformulate. Yeah? Where do you get the thought leadership from, if not from the professors? But how do we handle our professors? When they are 60, out you go. Oh my God. Is that how you handle your professors? How much investment have you put in to make him? I know the government had put in millions into me. Yeah? To be what I am, I know. Yeah, from primary school until universities and so on and so forth, millions. Private sector had not put in a single cent in me. So they could afford to pay me much more, no, it's not much more, a bit more than in the public sector. Huh? Of course. Public sector put in millions, after 60, out you go. Oh my God, wow. Yeah. We have Professor Emeritus here. When I went to Germany, they have emeritus scientists. Emeritus scientists. See how much they value. For us, tak ada, kita ikut. Thought leadership. Please develop thought leadership. In my alma mater, Melbourne University, the Council of Professors is very, very powerful. Nothing moves without the Council of Professors think through, debated, argued, disagreed about how the university should move. Kita ada ke? And I want to go a little bit further and make some of you uncomfortable, because I read somewhere the purpose of education is to make you uncomfortable. Yeah, is that when you're the VC, you saja yang betul. Your deputy pun tak betul pun. Your deputy tu, kan? When that person goes, for whatever reason, naiklah maybe one of the deputies, dia pula yang betul. Yang lepas-lepas tu semua tak betul. Mana lepas-lepas tu, he or she part of that. How can we have that? How can we have that? We cannot have that. It is too expensive for our country to go through this sort of rigmarole every 3, 4, 5, 6 years. It's so expensive. And we pay for it. Yeah? So big picture, KPI. Apa lagi? thematic or seasonal. Musim ni musim durian, makan durian. Lepas tu musim apa, makan yang tu. So thematic. Ya. Kita terima. Kita just terima. Ya. And be careful with all these slogans. Too much. And that clouds our vision. Yeah? And that is the situation. Yeah? Now, if universities cannot chart your own ways, oh my goodness, are you a university? Or are you a higher level of secondary school or college? You can chart your own. Yeah. Now, the other thing that I want to make, I know my 5 minutes is about up, yeah, is about, very interesting. I charted about 12 things I want to share with you. Apa nama tu? Yes. Graduate employability. Of course it is important. Of course it is important. But remember, universities cannot and should not subsume the role of technical college or business school. We have a slightly different role. We don't just enhance the knowledge, the skills, even competencies of our students. We should input an understanding of what life is all about the future, about the community, about your own self, isn't it? So I say universities, and very much in line with what was said this morning by Professor Mehmet, yeah, from Durham University, we must start to bring back meaning and values in higher education. That doesn't mean to say that we're going to downgrade training of people. We've got MQA who maintains the standards. Yeah, we continue on. But on top of that, go for excellence. And one way is bring in values and meaning of education. That would differentiate our graduates from the rest. If not, we become a factory. And if we do, manpower factory. University is manpower factory. If we do, we're still stuck with the, is it first industrial revolution or second industrial revolution? This mass production. Yeah? We're still analog in our thinking. But we thought we are not. Wow. So we need to explore ourselves. So if we sit down and work all that through, then we can say Malaysia can offer our own ways of higher education.
Right.
Yeah, different from the rest. It's not that we're competing to produce a good engineer. Of course we are producing good engineers, good doctors, lawyers, the rest of it. But beyond that, people who understand what life is all about, who contributes, yeah? Or people talk about, oh, we must have critical thinking, innovative thinking, Sure. But how about constructive thinking? Has anybody thought about how to engender constructive thinking among our staff, ourselves, and our students? No, because we just puppet what people say. Oh, sekarang ni bagus, ada critical thinking, bagus. Critical thinking. So I would like that all of us will rise up to the occasion, 2 days' time, and say that this is the Independence Day that will make a shift from what we were before.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. I think that's very thought-provoking from Dato', right? I'm sure there are already many questions for all three of you. Not yet? Tapi kalau tak ada kan doktor kan, boleh juga dia orang bangun. Orang suka nak bangun ni. Dato' Mahathir kata pukul 11 semua orang mesti berdiri ya, dan berjalan-jalan supaya kita jangan Datuk Khalid mesti setuju untuk jaga kesihatan. Jadi kalau ada mic ke ataupun they can use the mic here, if the questions are not coming in, just give them the mic, okay? Alright. I think Datuk Khalid took another angle, okay, where he says KPI is damaging. Nasib baik UTM dah tukar kepada KAI. UTM kita panggil key amal indicator. UTM ni baik. Tan Sri betul kan? Tak tahulah kita jiwai ke tak, itu another question. But seriously, I think you post lots of questions to be debated later. But before that, I think I'd like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Rosilini Mary Fernandez Chong, Director Center for Academic Partnerships and Engagement, University of Nottingham, Malaysia. Dr. Rosilini, okay, was the Vice President of Quality Assurance of HELP University Kuala Lumpur. I think Dr. Rosalie a lot in the private higher education, right? She was also the Director of Standards and Reference, MQA, Minister of Higher Education. She drafted the Malaysian Qualification Framework regulations under the MQA Act 2007, the Codes of Practice, numerous program standards, guidelines to good practices, and other higher education regulations and policies. If we want to blame anybody, she's one of them. She's right here in front of you. Dr. Rosalini has many publications to her credit, including index journal articles, books, and book chapters. She continues to support higher education, national higher education development in other countries as well, like Bangladesh, where she functions as the International Quality Assurance Consultant for the development of the National Qualification Framework, among others. Her current research interests are policy development, quality assurance, and in transnational education. She continues to be involved in the sector as a researcher, auditor, policy advisor, and trainer. Without much further ado, silakan, Doctor.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Tan Sri, Prof. Nordin, fellow learners on the life journey, it is very good to be some sort of the last member of the panel, because all I need to say is I agree, that's it, let's go on. You know? But I'm afraid I have to do justice to the work I did before. But before I start, can I just take a few leaves from Tan Sri's statement this morning? Illuminating speech. Of course, I loved it, because he was just there telling us exactly what he has gone through. One of the things he asked us is how, perhaps makes me ask this question, how do we in the higher education today contribute to national unity? And then can we stand together? And I thought that was a really good statement. And as what Datuk Khalid just mentioned, you know, have we lost the big picture in the country? So allow me to just take through what I have in mind to share with you today. Now, this is not a philosophical take on anything, it's really my point of view. I do apologize if it offense, but I hope not, because we were asked to be critical. We were asked to, you know, to offend, not offend, but we were asked to be critical. Now, I just want to give a kind of a larger picture to say we live in a very diverse world. I mean, Malaysia is diverse by itself, but yes, we do live in a very diverse world. I just got this from the internet the other day, as you can see. You know, it's a picture on how diverse we are globally, and I don't want to take you through this. But very crucially is that, you know, that only 1 in 100 would actually go to or have college education. And I think that sees how privileged, that shows us how privileged we are to be in this country where almost 40% of our population are now has had university education. So what have we done as contributors in learning process, yeah? Now, I think one of the biggest questions that we ought to ask ourselves is, how do we then, when students come to us, they come to us with certain expectations. How do we manage this expectation? I'm not going to read that, because you can read, I'm sure. So what should our ethos be? How do we plan out this expectation? How do you manage this expectation? How do you actually support academics? I mean, Dr. Khalid said very importantly this thing about having that, using KPI as a measure may not be the ultimate way in which we manage expectations, and allow people to give their best to where we are. So that's really important. How do we then manage these and at the same time enable people to bring out their best in our universities? That's the question we should ask. This slides will be available, so I'm just going to move on, because I think I look forward to the questions more than anything else. Now, in life, we learn a lot of lessons. In the universities, I've been now in the higher education sector for close to 25 years. I'm 17, but I've lived for 25 years in the higher education sector. Now, these are some questions that I've always wanted to ask ourselves, We as teachers, we as students, we as professors, are we inclusive? Do we divide? How do we train our young, Do we allow beliefs and experience to stand in a way of unity? Do we allow shallow, narrow-minded people to dictate the way we think, the way we actually live? Or are we proud of our identity to be Malaysians? And I think these are questions, and Dato' is right. 2 days' time, we'll be celebrating our 62nd anniversary as an independent nation. Are we proud to live as a country, as Malaysians? Yeah. So we are called to be fair. So in our thinking, as teachers, as professors, as people who are still able to influence minds. That's our job. We stand in front of our class. If you have children, you know this, and my kids too. Nothing the parents say will be right. Teachers are always right. Right? So, we have that privileged function to stand in front and influence young minds. Do we use it to our advantage as a country, as a global world, as a global community? Now, we need to learn to care. Do we care for the downtrodden? Do we care for people, irrespective of their color and creed? How do I counter the culture that is prevalent among the learning communities today? The tidak apa. We don't care. It's not my problem. Dr. Khalid also mentioned it earlier, right? Again, I think we need to consider this as being our main role, main task in the country. Now, certainly I think in education, again, KPI comes to mind, there is this move away from meeting the human face of education. There is a human face in education. Sometimes it's very difficult to face that human face. So we fall back on administrative, on operational matters, on KPIs. We use things that are not humanistic in a way to measure success. So there is a move towards moving away from looking at the human face of education and saying that's what education is all about. So have we lost? Ask ourselves the question. Well, if you don't have questions, these are questions to answer later. Have we lost our inborn freedom to live a good life? We all are born with that freedom to live a good life. We decide when we want to wake up and walk or wake up and crawl. Yeah? Did we forget how to remain true to ourselves? In the face of this massification of education, universities are becoming some sort of a factory, like employability becoming the gauge of the success of the university. Is it really true? Should employability and tracer studies and the achievement or high-ranking achievements be the measure of the university? And then I was very proud to see UPSI saying, no, we are proud, we are not in that. We are proud where we are. We are not in the ranking system. Because that's not how you actually measure success at the end of the day. Yeah? Do we lack champions? Sometimes it's so much easier if somebody leads the way. Do we lack champions in this country? Do we need more champions, all right? Do we lack trust, mutual respect for each other? Are we afraid of being labeled? Sometimes it's so difficult because we don't want people to label us as being, oh, you're antisocial, or you're not following the trend, or you're so different from other people. Are we afraid of being labeled? Right. So I'm going to leave you with this. These are really my practical recommendations, I think. When you want to build these building blocks of humanity, the first thing I believe is you got to write down our fears. We all have fears within us. So write down that fears. As a Malaysian, what is our fear? Living in a multiracial, multi-religious country. What are our fears? Acknowledging our fears is the first step to rebuilding. Number 2, take baby steps. Don't try to jump. You'll fall. We will all fall. Baby steps are really important. Number 3, share good stories. You know how bad stories always catch fire, right? WhatsApp just goes on, I remember when we had the death of Adib, the fireman, it was just massive. I just thought, I've never shared any of these stories because I always think, if the story is not going to build, that's not going to pass me. We should not share bad stories. We should share good stories. Share about, Tan Sri said something very interesting about the young boy. That was so heartwarming early in the morning to listen, that even in our young people, there is opportunity to build humanity. These are the stories we should happily share. And I always believe, and I take this as my golden rule in life. I always trust in God-given radar. We all have conscience within us. And that should ultimately be our guide. If it is wrong, our heart says it's not right, don't do it. No matter who tells you it's right, it is our God-given radar, it's our conscience. We need to make sure that we actually continue to use this as our guide. And I think I'm almost finishing.
Wow.
So be a champion, I would say. Be the drop, start the ripple.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doktor. Saya dengar je Doktor kan, saya kata wow, very Islamic. Suka dengar, very inspiring. Okay, Doktor bercakap tentang I miss that we have international. Prof. Mehmet is inside here. Prof, I was talking in Malay. You're following me, right? Oh, definitely. Boleh. Malaysia boleh, Turki boleh, semua boleh. Okay. Yeah. I share many. Actually, I share all the views by the discussants. But Doctor, you talk about taking baby steps, right? Because we have a bit of time for second round. I think I'll just start with Dr. Rosalini if you want to start first, or Dato, whoever want to start first. But I think you talk about taking baby steps, right? And I was like, you imagine babies now while they are still in the, in the mother's rahim ibu, Apa kita buat? Letak dekat situ mikrofon pula. Apa? Bacaan lah, bacakan dia Quran lah, nyanyikan dia lagu lah. Sebaik keluar saja apa kita buat? Terus saja dia membaca, menulis, mengira. Dia belum berjalan, kita dah ajar dia berlari. You imagine babies are suffering now. What more us? I don't know. Doctor, maybe you want to start first, or any of you want to start first? I think we have many issues there we have put on the table, but I don't know how, Dr. Diana, if they want to ask now or any burning questions, I think they are, you permit them to do so, right? We have about, I think we have, Alhamdulillah, we have about 25 minutes to spend. But Dato', Doctor, kita bagi Dato' still have a few other things to share. Please, Dato'.
Yeah, just want to talk about talent. As you know that we are in the producing talent, and talent is very key. I would say that listening to the great talks and so on, talent with the right values will be appropriate, right? For multinational to come and invest, as you know that it's a borderless world. So they look at two things only. Other things are given. One is that they look at the cost of doing business, and second is talent. If our cost of doing business, how low we can go, but if there's no talent, they will not come to our shore. So talents are very, very important for them to come. And we have been producing talent with the right values and so on. The other talent that we haven't really tapped are the talents in the universities. The one who are lecturing, the one who are teaching, and producing this talent. These are the talent that I think we need to exploit this talent. These are untapped talent, very smart people hiding in the universities, very shame, just doing their own work. I think if we can exploit this talent to the industry, this will be a great opportunity for us. As I mentioned, that talent are what they are looking. And these are, I would say, almost ready-made talent. They have the knowledge, just have to relate them only, and they're able to start much faster than we are producing our own talent. So that's the part that I want to talk about talent.
I don't know whether moderator can also give opinions. Okay? I wonder if we have like hundreds and thousands of talents graduating every time there is convocation and the market is not as good, the market is like, the conventional jobs are not there, and we have talents and the market are not supporting them. And we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, how things are changing very fast, and and people are blaming universities because we are not producing, we're not using the right curriculum or whatever to have this right match between industry and universities. But then really we see many students are just very smart people, and when they are out there, how do they, and we talk about being entrepreneurial and be entrepreneurs, start business and all that. I just wonder what the discussants would say about this, because truly we have to be fair also about these talents, right? They are the young ones, they are the leaders of our country. Mungkin Datuk Siti Napa boleh sebut sikit kot, Silakan Datuk.
Thank you, Dr. I think I'm going to move away from what you said. I think I like to share this as an educationist, someone has been in education for over 40 years, actually more than 30 years, Dr. Drisa. I look at education, I like to share this notion, I think that's been shared by many others, and echoing what Tan Sri Wan Zahid was mentioning this morning, and Professor Muhammad about values. When we talk about education, those people who are not in education before, they were not teachers, they were not lecturers, but somehow they have come into education, like Tan Sri. You know, when we talk about those people who are not education from the very beginning, not teachers, but they've come into education, but I say that as teaching or being in education is a calling. It's a very noble thing. I always say that when you are in education, whether it is in the primary education, secondary education, higher education, it is a privilege. It's not a right. It is a privilege that is given to you by God. You are able to actually make such great difference to a lot of people in this world. But that will come with the soul of education, the ruh for it actually. If you don't understand the soul of education, then we cannot be involved in education. It is not just about bringing a lot of foreign income, money into our country, but we must understand the values of it. It will boil down again to values that we have been talking about, whereby the humanizing of education that has always been said by not only by the minister, but by many other renowned professors like Tan Sri, Zul, and so on. These are the things that we need to bring back, because I think if we have our heart right, our roh right about education, we will do things right. Whether it is at the level of school, whether we are teachers, we should be very proud. I always say that if I have to relive my life again, I would want to become teacher again or lecturer, but I would want to be the better one, much better than what I used to do before. That is why I think education is something that it is so noble that we should actually consider that as a privilege that we have. All of us here are so privileged to be able to be involved in education, but at the same time, as you said, Doctor, we must ask our conscience. If our nawaitu, our intention of wanting to educate, wanting to make things great for our country in education, it is not correct. We are misplacing a lot of things. And that will come along as well as all those KPI. If there is no niat, there is no proper intention, it doesn't carry much weight at all.
Thank you, Datuk. Tetapi saya nak tanyalah Datuk Khalid sebelum, Datuk pun boleh, Datuk Khalid pun boleh. Sebelum beliau, saya jarang jumpa doktor yang bercakap banyak tau. Tapi saya sejen ni cakap banyak. Bagus. Okay, kita kan di-challenge ni untuk lihat. We are being challenged to look at our scenario now in Malaysia, right? Here we are, all of you in front of us are leaders of organizations, right? So we have been tasked with many things, right? But we know the challenges. Usually we sit down and we talk about it at the IPTA now, just like the IPTS, especially we talk about monetary challenges, right? So, and we are asked, because we are leaders, appointed leaders, we are asked to make change or bring change or bring forward the organization and people in the organization to a very high level of success where they are competitive, wherever they go, they are success stories, So how do we do that, Dato'? How do we do that as leaders? I think we'd like to share with you.
Yeah, a small correction, Prof. Durisha. Usually I don't talk much. Okay, I want to come back to whether we have removed the shackle. Yeah?
Remove the shackle.
The shackle. And there are many forms of shackle. We can talk about that in detail if you want to. Yeah. First. Second, whether differentiated between the symptoms and the disease. Sekarang ni tak cukup duit. Carilah duit. Nak cari duit pun tak begitu pandai kan. Something like that lah kan. So you get into trouble kan. But this is part of third world thinking. Third world thinking is you don't realize what you've been walking on. Gold mine under there. You never realize. Until someone from 10,000 miles away come over, you mentioned about multinationals just now. I don't say they are, but 10,000 miles away, come and take that away from us. Then you realize, oh, I've got something. And you know, this country, alhamdulillah, is very, very well endowed. Since when? Since independence? Tak. Even during the Greek civilization lagi. What do they call this peninsula? The Golden Peninsula. Betul tak? But we are sort of natives, good natives, third world country. Tak kisah, tak tahu. Universities, APTA, they have a lot of, a lot of assets. Land bank, banyak. A lot, much more than in APTS. And what do? No. Kita nak buat benda-benda yang remeh-temeh, nak buat duit macam tu. Kita nak buka kedai runcit. Ya, sebab nak duit cepat. Ya. Whereas the problem is not kedai runcit. The problem is much more than kedai runcit. And we can do that because we've got the resources. But because we are third world country, and we still think as third world country people, we don't know what we have been working on. This is the problem. Start looking at ourselves. Never start from the word no money. Hey, Malaysia, no money? Really? Wow, that's very interesting. If Malaysia has got no money, nobody is interested in us. How long have people been interested in this country? Baru semalam ke? Come on. You've got to be joking. Sorry lah cara I cakap kan. Yeah. So let's look at ourselves. A lot of resources. I'll give you an example. The Straits of Malacca. What do we do with Straits of Malacca? How many hundreds of ships ply every day? And what do we do?
I don't know.
When
Tax
they
them?
want water, where do they get the water from? Singapore. Where does Singapore get the water from?
Malaysia.
Yeah.
Okay lah, kita jual air kat Singapore.
One third of world trade passes through the Strait of Malacca. And what happened at night? Dia buang dia punya ballast. More than 50% of sea, catch from the sea comes from the Strait of Malacca. Apa dalam ballast? Heavy metal dan sebagainya, mercury and arsenic and sebagainya. 30-40 years later, you become demented. Kenapa? Oh yeah, all this while makan apa? Do you have to wait for the fish from telur bahang ni mati baru kita tahu, oh, ada problem je. This is it. Kita buat research untuk apa? You look at researchers done in Philippines, for example. I went there a few years ago. I kata, oh, is this a mango season? We don't have seasons. Philippines, they don't have seasons for mangoes. The researchers train with the commerce the trees to produce anytime. Look at the research in in Thailand. Kita nak buat paper. I don't say that salah buat paper. I pun tulis paper juga, kan? But what do we do? Oh, impact of research. Apa dia? Commercialization. Oh yeah, when Einstein came up with E equals mc squared, was the commercialization? Was the impact then? Yeah. When Darwin came up with the, not necessarily that you agree or you don't agree, that's not matter, but when he came up with the idea of theory, evolution, was there an impact?
Yeah.
So we have to
Tidak
think
ada
through.
impact.
We have to think through.
Yeah.
So
Faham.
don't start by saying that we, you, all of us are small. We are not. Yeah. Start looking at ourselves.
Thank you, Dato. Very, I don't know, very inspiring. Very inspiring. Dr. Rosalini, teruskan.
I just want to take
This
off
is our
from
last round, by the way.
last
okay?
round, yeah?
Right.
Yeah, just take off from where Datuk Khalid just said, you know. But I do say that sometimes we do feel small, Datuk. I mean, that's a reality. Because the world is too big, yeah? The universe is too big. We do sometimes feel small because we may not have the powers within the university to make the change that we want. But I think greatness does not start with great. It starts with small things. Let me give you a good example that we do at Nottingham. I mean, I'm not promoting Nottingham. I'm just sharing a best practice that I think is good for us. Nothing wrong, yeah? I absolutely agree. But this is not the forum to promote Nottingham, yeah? Now, what I would like to actually say is this story that this policy or this practice that we do, I take care of partnerships at Nottingham, and this involves capacity building. So we have a very good and very strong school of education, leadership training field. So we train a lot of people from other regions, South Asia, ASEAN, and so forth and so on. And we take a very simple, I would call the Robin Hood principle. So when I go to a developing country, my fees is really, really floor low. But when I go to, no Singaporeans, I hope, when I go to Singapore, I charge the maximum. So the idea behind this is that we have something that we would like to give people, that is capacity building. We have good facilitators, we have good professors, good trainers within us that can continue to build quality of education and quality of classroom teaching. But why do we have to limit it to those rich countries? So we follow a policy where we don't lose money, we always we have to break even, but we don't make profit from the developing country. We give these trainings at a very, very, very cheap rate. You'll be surprised at some of the rates that we give. But when it comes to a country that can afford, we actually charge them premium. Because that's how one should live. So let's start small. We are, after all, within a society or an environment that will not allow us to perhaps even reach for the top layers of the tree or the fruits. Since Dato was talking about mangoes, we could probably start with the low-lying fruits first and work ourselves up to the higher level. Because like giraffe, if you want to keep on surviving as a nation, we need to eventually reach the top fruits. That's how the giraffes develop their long necks. This is evolution. So similarly, let's start with the low fruits and work ourselves up. That's how we should actually do it. Don't be embarrassed when we do something small. Because as I said earlier, this is just a drop, but the ripple will have its effect.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you, Doctor. Aren't you all people inspired, right? Okay, saya nak bertanya kepada urus Tia, adakah sedikit boleh soalan? Ada soalan?
Yes, Prof. Durisha.
Yes, please.
Such an interesting discussion, actually. We're all carried away. So this is the question. Because the industry is much more advanced now, what do universities need to do to stay relevant and to keep up with the new demands?
Right. Any one of them or each of them can answer, right? Okay, who want to start first? Can you repeat the question again?
Yes, please. Because the industry is more advanced, what do universities need to do to stay relevant and to keep up with the new demands?
Right.
Yeah. The industry need to work together with the industry. And the industry is always very open. It's just that when I talk to the industry says it's very difficult to go and approach the industry. Yes, it's true. Because we have to understand the industry, they have their priority, which are their producing technologies and products and so on. So that is their priority. But they will allocate time. We just have to go and knock on their door. Right? The problem is that we do not know the door to knock, and we don't know the method, and so on. If we have their phone number, we cannot just call them, because they will not answer your call, period. Right? Because they are always in meetings, they are always doing something. The best way is that you just send them an email or send them a message, and then inshallah, they will reply. Maybe out of 10, maybe 8 will reply. Right? There will be a reply message. But don't call. If you call, then you'll be disappointed because they will not pick up the call. Because most of the time they are very busy doing everything. So it's just that you need to come and work together with them. I did ask a few of my colleagues in the industries if we've been approached, to come. Are you guys willing to spend your time? And all the people that I talked to, they say yes. So we just have to make the move. And I've said this many times, I just want to give this, sorry, Prof, just want to give this analogy. the industry is like a girl. Maybe I'm a little bit old-fashioned, you know. The university is the man. So if you want to tackle, right, the men have to make the move, the first move. Of course, nowadays. Yeah. So similar thing. So you have to make the move first, right? And then they will reciprocate. So inshallah, we have the industry players and we have all the programs that the ministry have started to open up. So please take the opportunity to work with them.
I just add to that, Dato'. Yeah, I've got a very good story that I agree with you 100%. Industries don't answer calls and they don't answer emails. Somehow they don't like universities. We had a similar incident. We were organizing something for Orang Asli graduates who are not employed. We wanted some money from one of the bigger banks, so we went begging, sent emails, called, nobody answered. So what did the two of my professors did? They just went directly and stood in front of his office. And we got money, just to let you know. Yeah, it just works, you know, because they have so many other things to do. And maybe if I could just also finish with this. When students are with us, don't teach them just don't give them the fish, teach them how to do it, how to fish, because that's really the key for them to be successful in the industry, to perform in the industry.
Thank you. I think that first at the level of universities, I echo what he said as well, is synergy. We need to synergize between the bigger, the smaller, so that we can help each other. That is one aspect. With the industries, I've been involved with some of them through my CSR and so on with when I was advisor to Khazanah and all these things. Actually, they are very receptive. The industries are very frightened of government people. They always, because the government officials, they tend to be very authoritative sometimes. They sort of radiate power, so they are very frightened to approach them. But now things have changed, because I think we meet together. I must share this with Tan Sri Wan Zaid. We know one of our 11 members is an industry player, Tan Sri Yong Pokong. He's actually a multi-millionaire, very rich guy. But he spends a lot of time with us doing education. Simply, he said the university needs to work with us, not actually working with us in the sense that when you need them, you ask them. But they like to be part and parcel of the industry themselves. Then only we can actually share what they want, what we can give them. And we share what we have the best. Whatever that we have the best, we share with them. I think that's my take for that, Doctor. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just need to add this. You know, I'm sorry again, I have to talk about the multinational because that's my life with multinational. See, the multinational, although they are in the same company, they are competing with other countries for new product, new technologies, and so on. If you are Intel or you are, you know, Altera was bought over by Intel, you are in AMD and so on, they have, operations worldwide. So among them, they are competing for new technology, for advance and so on. And then for those people in Malaysia, per se, they are doing this, of course, you know, to have the technology here. But of course, most of them are Malaysian. And they want this new technology to come to our shore. And they are fighting very hard, you know, to bring this technology. So we can work together with them. And they're very, very open. You know, because the reason they are doing that because they love the country. If not, they have gone from here.
Thank you, Dato'. Thank you, Dato' semuanya dan Doktor juga. Saya rasa, I think we have come to the end of a very fruitful discussion. Our focus was on transforming higher education, and all our 4 discussants have taken different angles, but still I think they opened up our minds, broadened our horizons, and share their expertise, their experience in the higher education sector especially, but also industry. Dato' Sophie talked again about the collaborating closer with industry. I think universities more and more are doing this, especially the public sector. And our discussion today itself is, I think, one of the ways, one of the efforts for us to move forward. So we thank AKEPT, we thank Prof. Nordin and his team for organizing this and having all the speakers sharing their views and expertise with us. Dato Satina, who talked about a calling, right? A privilege and a calling for all of us to be here in the education sector. Dato Khalid again took many approaches for us to look again at the basis of things, the foundation, the way we approach our challenges in Malaysia and how rich our nation is. I think we truly concur with him. And Dr. Rosalini having a very great heart. Again, she says start small, but always celebrate success, because I think that's the way for us to honor ourselves, honor our people, and for all of us to feel good about going ahead to do more change to the betterment of our young ones, young leaders, our country, and also to be part of the as citizens of the world. So with that, again, I thank everybody for listening and sharing. Thank all the 4 discussants. I hope all of us will give them a huge round of applause. We enjoyed that very much with this. I thank again the organizer, and I hand again back to Dr. Diana. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Durisha and all our panelists. Now, just a little bit of announcement before we go for our lunch break. We would like to share the graphic recording of the session so far. So this graphic recording is also available at the registration counter.